Hi, everyone. Today it is the 16th of February, 2023, and this is the fourth episode of Straight Talk with Sophia and One. We're going to explore, the question we're going to explore today revolves around creating alternative living communities, and I'm going to ask our guest to ask the question, and we'll begin.
Hi, thank you, Sophia. I'll
Welcome.
read what I wrote on your blog comment, and that should get us there, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
said hello and thank you, Sophia. And I am feeling moved to create community where there is a spiritual focus and where people can come together to live in harmony with this grand earth. I would like to co-create this community in the design of Anastasia's vision from the books The Ringing Cedars of Russia with kin domains. Each family will have a hectare of land, or 2.5 acres. Skills will be shared amongst the families. Anastasia believes that this is the way for our future, and there are now about 400 kin domain communities in Russia based upon the philosophy of Anastasia. I am in Ontario, Canada, and would love some feedback from you both in regards to this project. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Um, Before I answer from one's perspective, I just want to say out loud that I'm not familiar. I've heard of the Ringing Cedar series, but I'm not at all familiar with it. So I I had no
Okay.
knowledge about it. When
Okay.
I read your question, it was interesting to me because I had heard about them for so long, I didn't know what they were about.
Yeah.
Um, and what I'll do is read parts of what uh, round one's response was, and I'll share with you my impressions. And please ask questions
Okay.
as I do, and that we can go on because it's pretty long. I won't read the whole thing, obviously, in the time we have. So the first thing he said was that the reason you were so stirred by these descriptions of kin domains is because she has led a similar life in her chorus of lifetimes.
Mhm.
And and when he said that, I saw or I had what you'd call a vision. And it was a woman with very long blonde hair. And the feeling that I had, she had a dress. It was an old dress, not not an age old, but old fashioned dress, like a long dress, like almost frontier times. That's how I
Okay.
felt. It was red in color,
Mhm.
and the wooden buildings. It wasn't 20th century. I'll just say that. Okay, that was the impression that I had.
Mhm.
Um, he said, um, part of the reason that you're here now and why you decided to come was because you're a leader and you intended to shine a light on alternative ways to live.
Mhm.
And that came through a lot in the discussion that your purpose, part of your purpose is to do this, and that once you do, um, well, I saw almost like a cascade of events that would happen, that others would be inspired to do the same, others would be drawn to you,
Interesting.
that that sort of process would be is actually begun by you are being inspired by those books. Um, he said then that, and this was interesting because and again, I had a strong impression here of your energy, and he said that you should refrain from following in lockstep the types of communities in the series that has stirred her, not because it's a poorly chosen route, but because you have inspired ideas of your own. And that really came through over and over again, that your own ideas what need to be nurtured, and that he said she has seen and felt hints of these already.
Mhm.
I don't know if that means anything to you, but
Could you repeat that, Sophia?
he says
I have,
she has seen and felt hints of these ideas already, these
yes,
inspired ideas.
yes.
Um, and that she is to follow her instinct, and because it has served her well at other times and will continue to do so.
Mm.
And the feeling that I got, there's a lot of words around this whole idea, and the feeling that I got for you was that you you know that this works because you've seen it work, and you came to begin again because because what's going on right now is pretty much collapsing around our ears.
Right.
And right, and and you're a visionary. Actually, that was the word visionary was used in the conversation, um to describe you, and that you need
Mm.
to pay attention to that. And I think that was where the caution came from, to not follow in lockstep with what you've read, because that would
That could
deny.
be limited.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's what was felt. And then that's how was felt from the words. Um and I highlighted here, do not be afraid to take an alternate path. You have a unique vision for a reason.
Mm.
So that it was very, very much recommended that you follow this, and that your instinct at this is appropriate, I guess. And
Okay.
and um and again, he said, you don't need to wait to begin or even to have the land selected, because, and then this phrase came into my head, if you build it, they will come. Most sure applies here. So, in other words, and another part of the conversation, he said she just needs to hang out a shingle. Like, you've heard that phrase before? Hang
Yes,
out. Yeah, okay. Like, in other words, you just need to get out there, and it's gonna, the people, the resources or whatever will start to come to you. Um, and if
kind of
there
like
was,
the law of attraction.
it kind of, well, very much, I think that was it. And that you've hit on something that you meant to hit on by discovering the books and being so inspired by them. Um, it said, and he said again, and I'll just read this part. He said, it is recommended that she outline her vision in its entirety before beginning to gather others, and that this is as much as for her own growth as it is for the success of the project. She is gifted as a bit of a visionary and will want the time initially to remember her skills so that she is confident and flexible when she begins.
Ah, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I had this feeling of, again, that there's so much inside of you that has been brought out by you asking this question, that you need to nurture that so that that can, kind of blossom,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, um, so like you're confident when you finally do say, okay, I'm gonna, advertise or whatever you do to get find out who else would be possibly interested.
I
You're
have begun to do that.
okay.
I have begun to do that through another group that I'm a part of.
Uh-huh.
And so there's a few who are interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not huge yet.
Right, right. And he talked about, let me see if I can find where he talked about that. He said that he talked about the kind of people that would be drawn to this, and that they would, I'm going to read the sentence because I don't, and then maybe I'll be able to tell you how I felt when he said it. He said, the organic method is what is necessary for success. And he said, it is one in which its members are deeply committed to mutual purpose, collaboration, and
Yes,
support.
yes,
And that these are indwelling emotions that will, like it did for you, come from the individuals themselves, not due to discovering the idea, but not like it's a fad or I'm going to revolt against society and go and live on a farm somewhere, but more like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, this needs to be something that's thriving, not
mm,
just surviving.
mm-hmm,
It needs to be something that is an upliftment um, to a lifestyle in community.
mm-hmm.
Um,
So, right. So there has to be a love for that, actually.
yes,
Uh, right. And that kind of appreciation of what that can do for the soul, the heart, the whole thing.
right, right. And I'm in particular children, giving
Mm-hmm,
them a place to flourish, to find out their gifts and flourish.
mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And one of the other things he said is that age has no impact on quality of input. And when he said that, I saw old people, little people, everybody, so that
Right.
there would be you're not going to know where the inspiration, where the ideas are going to come from because this is brand new. This is new thought. This is new.
Yeah.
We don't do this in regular life, if we want to call it that. So um I
Right.
love that. I love what you said about children because that really fits. Um, he said um, another thing. These are two other things I want to make sure I say out loud to you to see how you feel about them. But he's talked about the kind of expertise that would be needed
Hmm.
for a community like this, and he said there are multiple considerations and areas of expertise necessary for success, and some of these are quite mundane. And what
Right. Yeah.
right? And when he said that, I had what I saw, which is just my own, I guess, I think it's just my way of understanding this download I'm getting, was that I saw business people. And I
My
think,
thought was accountants, things like
right,
that, like
yes,
paralegal
exactly.
business,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's it. And he said, and she is advised not to rule out any participants due to their background or appearance. And I laughed when I wrote that because I said, well, I'm seeing guys in suits and women in, heels and stuff like that. And that's not what you envision when you envision of a community, with
Right.
in domain. So okay, so you get it. So that's what was one of the things that I thought um, was interesting and really important, right?
It is because I don't tend towards that.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a community in the 70s. It was an
Mm-hmm.
alternative home for delinquent youth.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 80, 80 staff and community children. I would have been 10 at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
probably 60 students.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was, the graceful end of the hippie era. So
Right.
long hair was the thing, and
Yeah.
the F bomb was the favorite adjective
Mm-hmm.
back in those days,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh. So you're a bit of a wild child.
I
So
am a bit of a wild child.
well, that's great. And that's what he said. What he said was later, he said, this sounds like a simple, basic way to live, but this is current times, and you're going to have a diverse population, and there's modern day issues as well as needs and all. But I was thinking of things like internet and, other things,
Right,
that we have today that, in the original vision of you, which was a woman in a dress, wooden buildings, this was very different. And what he was trying to say is you're going to have a lot of different needs that can be met by a lot of different types of people.
right.
Yeah.
And if we are close to getting the 0 point energy and things like that, that
Mm-hmm.
would be an incredible thing to incorporate.
Mm-hmm.
And I know nothing about those kind of sciences. So,
Mm-hmm. And I bet that just opening up you know, the shutters on this kind of idea will bring people that do know that kind of thing.
yes,
And right, that's what it sounds like to me.
yes.
Um, while he was talking, he said, um, again, that you come to this naturally, that you would be a spark. He said you will be a spark for such communities once you put out a shingle. That's where he said it. And when he said that, I I kept seeing medicine.
Ah,
And I asked him, I said, why am I just have a sense of medical medicine, things like that. And he said, you also have experience in that, and that in this way, your project will have a focus all its own.
okay.
And he meant
That's
he,
interesting.
I don't know if you're already interested in that now, but
I I have two treatment rooms, one here in my home. I offer something called zone technique, reflexology, and attunement, which is something like Reiki.
okay.
And I have a business card and
Okay, so that makes sense then. That's why I was seeing that. And he
yeah.
said, you he said in this way her project will have a focus all its own, and she will be drawn to expand natural healing methods as a fish is to water.
I love it.
I know these all these sayings were coming out. I was like, I couldn't wait to talk to you today because I said I don't know who she is, but this is a hoot. So it was really fun to talk to him about this because he was like right away, yep, that's why she's interested because she's done it before and she'll be great. She just needs to trust that she'll be great and
Fun.
begin.
Yeah.
And yeah, so towards the end, well, not towards the end, but because I talked to him, I think 3 times, maybe 4, um, just to, I wanted to make sure I understood what he wanted you to have the most information about. And really, towards the end, he just said, you are well equipped. He said, you've come to this life well equipped for starting over.
Ah, interesting. I'm prepping my house. I inherited my house. I'm
Mm-hmm.
third generation, and
Okay.
I am purging right now and
Oh,
getting ready. And my gut feeling is I'll be selling, but I have no idea where I'm going.
okay. Wow. Wow. So you are following your gut.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to do awesome.
It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 60 last summer, and
Congratulations.
thank you. It was a fun birthday,
Good.
and I intend to stick around long enough to see several of these communities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I,
and I have had a feeling of four here in Ontario. I don't know why that number came up, but I can see
wow.
roughly four in different places.
Okay. Okay. Do you have areas picked out like that you can
I
see them
have
in or
one area for sure. I have one area picked out for sure, and it's near my second treatment room, but I don't even know if that land is available, so that's in process.
okay. Okay. That is so exciting. It really is. And just to have, I don't know, I didn't know you until today. So
Right.
just to have the validation of the, yeah, and just to say again, the validation of the sight of you and the feeling of who you were that came through, which is validated now that I feel your energy in talking to you is so exciting. And when you asked the question, I had no idea what was
Yeah.
going to be said because I thought this is so specific. I don't know what, and I don't pick the answers. I just say, okay, let's look again, see who's left. Who do you want to talk to? And he said he wanted to talk to you. So I thought, okay, I don't know what this is going to be. And it's so exciting to hear you come to life almost in front of my eyes, and validate what I saw and felt. And one of the biggest things that he wants you to get is, I think, and it sounds like you already have, is a inner trust. And
I need
that,
to work on that more.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I need to work on that more.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Because I had this real strong feeling that once you begun, it was going to be like going, maybe not like quite like going downhill, but that there would be challenges, but that it was
Mhm.
going to kind of maybe steamroll, and you would really need to have your own vision. not that you couldn't be flexible with it, but you need to be
Right.
solid in your instincts because that's what he kept saying. Her instincts are good. Her instincts are good. She needs
Mhm.
to, you know, make sure that that's like a solid foundation. I don't know if I read that to you, that part to you, but
Yeah.
I did. Okay. So
Yes.
that's an important starting point.
Good. I appreciate that. I just to share a little story. I wrote a story when I was at mid-teens, and it was about starting a community for troubled girls.
Oh.
And I have a love for horses, and so it was wound around horses. And I showed that to a spiritual mentor of mine in my
Mm-hmm.
20s,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that's not often that someone so young gets a vision like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just taken a couple extra years to get to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it.
yeah. But you know what? This time that we're in right now is just awesome for like one said, age has no bearing on the success of the contributions of anybody. And I think that really applies now because
Yes.
those of us who have been around for a while have, you know, we have a
Well,
lot
some of
to
the
say.
young people are incredible right now, coming
Mm-hmm.
in very clear. And I look at them and think it took me decades to get to where you
Mm-hmm.
are, of
Mm-hmm.
swimming through sludge
Yeah.
spiritually.
Right, right.
You
It's
know,
true, isn't it? I
it,
marvel at them.
yes,
Even
yeah,
some of the way that they parent, they parent some of the I just marvel at what seems to come naturally to them where it wasn't that way when I grew up. What I saw was very, very different.
right, right.
So that's so encouraging for what's comes next for us.
Mhm. Did he mention, one of my questions was, will smaller intentional communities be a part of the future new Earth?
He did. And okay, and let me say that because that will be a good way for us to bring this around. He said, let me find it. Well, one of the things he said this a couple times, but I'm going to read one thing I just found. He said, she senses the beginning of a different sort of life, and her efforts will help ground and sustain that on New Earth. And
Incredible, good.
he said New Earth more than once. And let me see if I can find the other um right here. Again, she knows that she is seeing possibilities for life on New Earth. Realize that New Earth rises up around you as your current one collapses.
Yeah,
This this and that this project will hold the love vibration steady and provide fertile ground for its expansion and solidity.
wow.
And I love that. And then he said, and I'll finish with this. He said, her task is not an easy one, yet it is worthwhile and will initiate many others. And this is how your new earth is birthed.
Wow.
Right. Right. That was beautiful. And that was actually very clear. And that to me went hand in hand with when he described you as a bit of a visionary. Um, that's the aspect that I think he wants to inspire with the words that you're going to read and that we talked about here today.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That went right to my heart.
Oh, yay. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
really appreciate that. Gives me a little more confidence
Good.
because I was wondering, well, this is this an ego trip or what? But
Hmm. Oh,
no, yeah, I feel like it's not, and that it needs to
no.
happen. Yeah,
No. If I could say anything to you, it'd be no. It was your purpose. This is one of the reasons why you came.
yeah.
So you would initiate this
I just wonder
on this continent,
on this. Yes.
right? I mean, because you said there were already some in Russia. I don't know anything about this, but
Yeah, those books were written in the mid late '90s,
okay.
and um, their president Putin, he has given people permission to have the kin domain communities. And there's over 400 or so that have been started based on her philosophy,
That's
on
amazing.
Anastasia's philosophy. It is incredible. And I think one of the reasons that at one point I read somewhere that Putin had said that his country can grow all the organic food they need
Wow.
for the whole population.
Hmm.
And so it would come from a lot of these little communities would grow what they need and then grow extra as part of their income. So
Wow.
it's an amazing movement. And actually, there is a North American Anastasia movement here and a website.
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's it's very, very interesting.
It's so exciting that you're going to be a part of it or that you already are. And I would love to hear how it's going. Just drop me a drop
Okay.
me a note every now and then and let me know. I would love to hear about it.
Okay, perfect.
And I don't know if there's anything else you want to say before we shut down. We have to shut down in a couple minutes here. I'm seeing my timer run out. So,
I just thank you. This is a beautiful gift that you're offering all of us to have a part of. And my many thanks to One and his wisdom. And or how is One referred to? As
I
individual or as a group or?
a really good question. And I now after so many years, I feel that there is a single source,
Okay.
but I also feel that in a sense it's universal. So
Yes.
maybe it's the voice of everything. I don't know. But it feels male to me, actually. So there's
Okay. Yeah.
definitely a source of it that it's never felt female. And so I say he because it just does feel male to me.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate both of you putting this together. Appreciate it very much. Shall be useful.
Well, that's great, and that's very satisfying, and I appreciate you coming forward with your question, and and you being so willing to participate, and it's I really enjoyed speaking to you today. So I'll close it out by saying, so that's it. Thank you, and for contributing to our collective journey, and good luck, and I lots of love and light.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sophia.
You're welcome.